So today I'm going to be sharing, I'm outside, I hope there's no distraction or background noise, about how devotion is a kind of discipline. I heard that today, but I have some things I learned a few years ago, maybe a year or two ago. So there's this woman, Suri, Jaroslawicz, and she teaches about how this mitzvah called taking challah. Challah is when you take a piece of the dough for the priest, and it's really for God. The priests represent, and it's she found that a lot of amazing things happen. There's a lot of interesting things to think about when it comes to taking challah. So first of all, the numerical value for house in Hebrew is 412, bayis, and mikdash, which is 444, which is holy, or there's a difference of 32, which is the heart. So it's a work of making the house holy. And the woman does the challah. This is the woman's job in the house. The man have certain mitzvahs, and the mitzvahs are commandments. There's 613 commandments. And so she finds also that, like, as the women gather, there's a power to say amen for each of the blessings. So each of them, people, like, I feel like they're going to make noise. Hopefully they don't. So each of the, 1 second. It actually is by the women's area. I don't know why there's men standing here. So each of the women says a blessing, and then the 10 other women all answer amen. And there could be even more. So she calls it a mamad siyam Torah. It's like a sacrifice of sins. It's like pure atonement, because it's like a moment where there's like all the 613 mitzvahs. Someone made a mistake, that's how many mitzvahs there are, and they all have offshoots, saying that it's like anyone who made a mistake, anyone who didn't, we're all like, in that moment there's like 100 blessings happening, because 10 times 10. Then challah, which is an acronym. So challah actually means the bread that was taken out. There's okay, hopefully that works. Then there is chutz l'derech hateva, which means beyond the natural way, outside the worldly path, which is also an acronym for chelek le'olam haba, a portion of the world to come. This is our future portion. It's also a acronym for, because it's cha and la. So chanan hamarba l'slayach, which is the very graceful forgiveness. Hamarba means a lot, l'slayach means to forgive, chanan means graceful. So it's like a very favoring pardoning. She's saying there's a lot of connections. If you look deeper, the numbers don't lie. And challah itself, even though we think we're just taking a portion of the bread aside of the dough, actually not only you use the dough before. Woman is a kind of discipline that's devotion. Then the begging of the heart, that Hashem should really listen and hear. Hashem is God. Tochein libav takshev oznecha. The real prayer from the heart, and that God will listen. Oznecha, the ears of God. Amen is the acronym of Echad Melech Nivra, which is that one angel is created. Echad Malach Nivra, one angel is created. And each time we say Amen. Amen. It's also related to the word emunah, which is faith, and amun, which is creating, and also not creating, like nurturing, and like the flow of good answers, and also like the place that for an artist, kind of, not quite creating, but artisan. Then the numerical value of amen and malach together are 91 both. Each one, I'm saying. So each one is 91, the amen and the angel. So saying it standing, they go straight up. It's like saying that they're straight standing angels. Another type of devotion can be to immunity. Some people, they do rose hips, garlic, zinc, nettle, or vitamin C. Another kind of devotion could be a teacher. So it says from, let me find, I wrote it here. It says in Pirkei Avos, chapter 1, verse 16, from Rabban Gamliel used to say, appoint for yourself a teacher, avoid doubt, and do not make a habit of tithing by guesswork. So I'm going to comment in a minute about the teacher, but I want to say, I'm going to comment now about the teacher. The sages actually said, when a student goes into exile, is exiled, the teacher goes with him. We could say that means in his psyche, when the student becomes a teacher, or his master goes with him, means he actually goes with him. The Lubavitcher Rebbe said, Ben David, Mashiach, will not come until they are looking for a fish for a sick person and cannot find it. What kind of devotion, right? So this is it was in a speech that he gave. The Lubavitcher Rebbe was very interested in everybody doing goodness, acts, and kindness in order to bring Mashiach, an actual individual, not just the Messianic age. And he said there is a signal that there's many prophets that gave many signals of it being done in such a way, like because of this or that. These are signs. One sign is that they're going to look for a fish for a sick person. And there's the reason he says Ben David is because there's Mashiach ben David, which is the Mashiach lineage of Judah, and then Mashiach ben Yosef, which is the Mashiach lineage of Yosef. And it could be they're the same person or two halves. I probably have discussed this in other videos. If I haven't, I will in the future. I've definitely written things about it. And a primary person to learn from about this is Vilna Gaon, the Vilna. That's the place where he's from, and Gaon. That's a sort of title. You could look it up. Vilna Gaon on Mashiach ben Yosef and Mashiach ben David. And then I wanted to share on another type of devotion, which is how in a group I used to be in called Living Deeply, we explored the Passover Seder together. We kind of had like a group meeting, a Passover Seder together. And so we looked at what is our Egypt, right? That's when the Jews were freed from the Egypt. There was plagues, and there's different things in the Haggadah, what the sages used to talk about when they were commemorating and celebrating the freedom from slavery. So first of all, what are we bringing across the sea? You enter a meditative space together with your caravan, this group that we were in together, and there's a lot of parts of it. There's Avadim Hayinu b'Paro b'Mitzrayim. We were slaves to Paro and Mitzrayim in Egypt, and Mitzrayim in Egypt. Mitzrayim Geal Tanu, and from Egypt we are redeemed. Mi Beis Avadim Pedisanu, and we were freed from the house of slavery. Dayenu, it's enough, right? It's enough to be free. So bringing across the sea, I chose my precious written books, my hearing, and my faith. And in my Mitzrayim, which is my Egypt, is looking for myself outside of me, not finding it, choosing the wrong portion. So this is how having discipline to do those things is a form of devotion. Another aspect is, what does freedom feel like for me? So trusting self-loving independence is immunity from oppressors who depend on people lonely enough to sell out, right? So then we made how could we say it in 6 words? I used the first 6 words. Trusting self-loving independence is immunity. And then there was 4 questions that are asked. Why is this night different from other nights? It's about what we do in the ritual Seder. There's a Passover Seder. We eat matzah, maror, bitter herbs. We dip, we break matzah. We do all these different things. And at one point we asked 4 questions, like why do we dip twice? Why do we lean on the side? Why do we eat matzah? And why do we eat the bitter herbs? So then we asked, what are my 4 questions? So 1 is, how can I protect myself from those who are looking to exploit? 2, how can I heal my nefesh, my body, my physical body? Like we have energy body, soul body, like the vitality body, from the harm I've allowed. How can I heal my nefesh from the harm I've allowed? How can I face what I've done from ignorance and delusion? Where is my home? Those are the 4 questions. And there's also 4 sons that each of them have a... 1 second. There's someone snorting, like spitting. I guess I have to be disturbed. Like, where's my home? I don't feel so at home here with those men by the women's side and with this man snorting and spitting. Okay. And then there's 4 sons. So there's 4 sons that one is the righteous, one is the wicked. Now the wicked is really called the rebel, one is the simple one, and one doesn't know how to ask. So we could call them names. Say he's a goody two shoes, he's a wicked one, he's stupid, and he's dumb meaning can't speak, right? So what are the 4 sons in me? The rebel child in me sets future me up for failure, not success, but it's to protect me. The one who doesn't know how to ask feels that there's no one trustworthy to handle the truth. The wise child in me behaves with the mindfulness of accepting impermanence. Basically won't get attached. It's just trust that everything's going to be temporary. And finally, the simple child just wants space to move and stop without a schedule. Like to move when I want, stop when I want. And finally, what is deviation? I know it sounds like devotion, but deviation is not devotion. But we can see how devotion plays a role. So deviation is sometimes we have to deviate to let someone else shine. Sometimes we have to deviate in order to be an advocate, which can be to embarrass someone. Sometimes we have to deviate from things that are academic which are really just lazy. Fragility, less fragility, more hard work. Some parts of academia is just fragility. Sometimes we have to deviate in order for the stakeholders of our life, who are the most reliable givers of feedback, to be able to do that. And finally, sometimes deviation is even dads and sons, they compete to impress a woman. They even, like, it's called hip below belt when a man does that. And I'm gonna stop here and wish you a pleasant evening. Good night. Bye.